Hello and welcome to The Studio Demands It, an exercise in creative thinking where we will conceptualize, pitch, and craft a film or series based on the demands or stipulations from one of you listeners acting as a hypothetical Hollywood overlord.
Overlord!
As professional screenwriters ourselves and massive cinephiles,
Cinephiles.
we talk movies all the time.
All the time.
And we'd like to believe we could meet any demand thrown at us.
Right in our faces.
We will be your screenwriters for this episode. I am TC DeWitt, and joining me, as always, is Jim the Adaptation Brzelic. Yes, you.
I am the adaptation.
You are so much like the Jim.
I'm not an original Jim. I'm an adaptation.
But you're a good adaptation
of
Jim because it's hard to distinguish this Jim from the original Jim. Yeah, which is honestly what you want from an adaptation. You want people to be like, it's synonymous. These two things are the same.
All right.
Well, we had dinner tonight, and The Departed was playing on the TV at the restaurant.
Oh yeah, yep.
And first of all, we were both like, I don't remember a lot of this movie. I talk about The Departed. It is one of the 3 movies in my life that as soon as it was over, I bought a ticket and watched again.
Wow.
And I don't remember a lot of it. You even said, like, sitting here watching in silence, you're like, I don't know if this is Oscar worthy.
Well, because it was on, and it was a conversation between Jack Nicholson. They were outside, and
Martin Sheen.
And Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
So the 3 of them were there, and it was the conversation between the 3 of them. And the camera work doesn't have to be fancy, but it was real basic.
Just standard.
And it was in the
shot
restaurant,
coverage.
so there was no sound, right? So it was just watching their mouths flap, cutting back and forth. And it was like, if you just took Jack Nicholson's stuff, I guess if you know The Departed really well, you would know it's that. But like, it's his older era where he's wearing the pink jacket, a pink jacket. It could have been The Departed. It could have been anger management. There was, and not saying that every shot should be indicative of the movie it's in, but it was. Then when it would cut to Martin Sheen and Wahlberg, just the exchange between the 3 of them, like I know there was supposed to be tension there or something, but Martin Sheen just looked so happy, like he was like
smiling,
I think laughing at one point. It like nothing about it looked like, oh, this is The Departed, the really gritty crime drama thing with
just broad daylight.
Yeah.
Well,
guys in kind of nice clothes talking.
Man, one of those movies I need to rewatch, but it is an adaptation.
Yes,
it is a screenwriter, first-time screenwriter, adapted Infernal Affairs into an American film screenplay, blacklisted it, got into Scorsese's hand. Dude wins an Oscar. Congratulations! What a career! I mean, that's pretty amazing. But
so what you're saying is we need to adapt award-winning movies.
We should adapt 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
We should.
That was a conversation from earlier. We've talked about this before on the show. The art of adaptation. What makes a good adaptation versus a bad adaptation? Lord of the Rings pops up immediately because it's like they changed quite some significant stuff.
But it's still an adaptation. The one that always comes to mind is the movie adaptation is an adaptation. Like it was even up for the adaptation category. The adaptation, it's of the orchids. It's of the novel that is being adapted in the book.
In the movie.
Or in the movie.
Yeah.
But like and technically, yeah, that is in there. But it's like at most a third of this movie. It's so like
it's the process
secondary.
It's the process of trying to write the movie based on a nonfiction book about flowers.
Yeah, that's not an adaptation. That's an original story.
That is. Well,
I suppose, but like Barbie is considered an adaptation.
Yeah, well, they changed the rules on that because Glass Onion was up for adapted screenplay because it was based on previously used characters. That's not. But what makes it?
You know what this reminds me? Yeah. This is my friend Gene loves using this one. Was it Plato? Was it Plato's definition of a man? And then someone else came in with a a plucked chicken, like it was still alive, but all the feathers had been pulled off, and it said, "Behold a man," because the way he defined man, like it technically counted. So now you can pick up anything, right? Like
Behold this
pillow here.
This pillow.
Behold an adaptation.
It's got Captain America on it. So
Yep.
What do you think makes a good adaptation?
It's a very ephemeral thing, but it's a movie that retains the spirit of the
source
media, the source material.
Yeah, sure.
Being adapted.
I agree.
Which I guess maybe Barbie did do that.
Yeah, I think so.
If when you get a Barbie doll and you play with a Barbie doll, it is meant to evoke this notion of smashing glass ceilings and the history of women.
Yeah,
I guess it is.
It
is an adaptation of the spirit of the source material.
I think that is a fairly good definition of it, because I use Lord of the Rings again. There's so much of what is right about that. Okay, Frodo's not in his 60s. That's fine. He's an 18-year-old kid. It works. Like, it still absolutely maintains it. I've whinged and moaned plenty about certain adaptations of Batman and Superman, because I feel like, once you're that far away from the material, now it is no longer maintaining.
You're not doing the thing anymore.
You're not adapting it. You're altering it, intentionally altering it. You're intentionally dropping things to create a new thing. So, I mean, there's so many. People talk about like remakes and reboots and all that, but like, honestly, the history of film, 90% of film has just been adapted from books and television shows and previous movies and
other plays,
plays, musicals. Like, so there's countless things we could point to and say adaptation. Like, literally all the posters up here right now are adaptations. Yeah. There's Star Wars, Marvel movies.
Just, audience, just look around the room.
Look around the room. I was listing what they were. But
I'm sure they could look around whatever room they're in.
Look around your room, dear listener,
and tell us what you see.
Yeah, we'll listen. Go ahead. Just list it right now. Oh, you have one of those.
That doesn't count. No, that
one doesn't count.
That one doesn't count.
Okay, nice try. You're not getting that past Jim. Well, this goes hand in hand with the demand for the day, so let's jump on into that. What do you say?
Jump in.
Okay, Jim.
Jump in the demand.
Rock your podcast and rhyme.
That was the last episode.
20,000 leagues under the sea. All right. Jim, our amazing listeners have given us demands from studios. Literally,
that's not even a good callback.
It is not. Well, if
they listen to the thing, it is a good callback. But they
now they're just confused why we sang that.
Yeah.
So okay, fine. Before I say the demand, I'll plug our Patreon. We do extended episode conversations before the episode. Jim and I usually talk for like a half hour or so, and today we talked in the realm of adaptation about 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Jungle Cruise, The Phantom Shadow. We were discussing pulp adaptations. Yeah. And that all started with Jim wrote lyrics to a song based on a picture his friend sent.
Yeah. The Ramones singing 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
I want to be submerged.
Yeah.
So there you go. If you'd like to hear that full conversation, you can head over to Patreon for just like $1 or $2. You can subscribe and get episodes early, as well as these extended episodes. So there, I put the plug in the front end here.
You can also be in on the joke.
You could also be in on so many inside jokes. Listen, people, listen.
Jokes.
Listen to us. Thank you.
Listen to the jokes.
That's all you can do is listen to us.
It's true.
We are a podcast. And speaking of such, we get demands from people all over the world, and you listening now, you can send us any demand you'd like, and we will have to meet it right here on the spot. And when we reach the end of the episode, if we've done our jobs, we will have pitched a full script or story meeting or even exceeding those demands. And when the end of the season comes, your demand could have helped craft the script that will be greenlit by our fans, which is coming up fast. This season is coming to an end very soon. It is. We only have just a couple of main episodes left before we get into some of our annual end of the season traditions. If your demand doesn't get in for this season, obviously next season we got a whole another round of movies to go. But your demand could be greenlit by the listeners for our finale. Thank you for everyone who keeps submitting. And today's demand comes from before I say it, we knew we were going to do Hellboy
We did.
because we are in dump month,
Dump month.
which means very little like big exciting properties being released due to school starting. And Hellboy, there's a new Hellboy coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Surprise! As much of a surprise to me as it is to some of you to know that a new Hellboy movie is being released. I think to theaters.
I'm not even sure.
It might be straight to streaming. But that being the case, I felt like we should do a Hellboy demand.
Okay.
So I've gone into our demands list. I pulled out a Hellboy demand, and now we're going to read it live here on the air and see what we got. So,
all right.
Okay. This comes from EKG from Ray Gun Studios. All right. Since 2004, we've seen 5 Hellboy movies, live action and animated, all met with various degrees of success or failure. True. The Del Toro pair were very well regarded, though they appeared to have left no impact whatsoever on the comic book movie landscape.
Yeah.
Blade 2 comes up more often. That's true.
Yeah.
Blade 2 comes up way more often in conversations with comic book movies.
We can discuss why.
Well, maybe we'll get to that. I lost my place. Okay. Knowing Jim
That's me.
is a fan of Mr. Boy, and
I
knowing
am.
there's a 4th live-action film coming out this year, yes, The Crooked Man, our studio demands that you two pitch... Oh, wait, sorry. Let me read that. Let me read it.
Uh-oh.
Knowing that there's another one coming out this year starring nobody at all and will... Hold on. I want to read it right. There's a 4th live-action film coming out this year from and starring nobody at all and will most likely come and go without any notice.
Yeah.
Our studio demands that you two pitch the next Hellboy, one that can capture the attention of the movie-going mainstream. If you're able to deduce why Hellboy can't capture enough attention to be considered a hit franchise, maybe you two can unlock the secret to true success. Wow, that's putting a lot on us, isn't it? It is not important to adhere to any specific comic arc, but know that any connection to the comics will get the fans on board. If possible, bring back Ron Perlman and Doug Jones. And there's a good parenthetical here. Please pay loving respect to Selma Blair, who can no longer act because of her MS. Set the movie world on fire, you two. Thanks for taking my demand. Been a fan since Hellboy and the Mummy crossover. Yeah, season 1 fan right here. Thank you, EKG. Okay, Jim. Lots to discuss here. Can we deduce why Hellboy has not hooked anyone? 2, we said you could talk about why Blade 2 is brought up more than Hellboy, and then we can craft ourselves a Hellboy movie. Have at it, Hoss.
I mean, we talked. So we watched the movies. So I had not seen Golden Compass, Golden Army, previously, and in anticipation, we watched both Hellboy and Hellboy and the Golden Army.
Yeah.
It was good. In watching it, both of us, I feel, kind of noted they were creatures of their time.
Yeah. The quick, like not red flag, like flags of the era, like benchmarks of the era. The soundtrack, like definitely hearing those like early aughts, because 2004 and 2008. So hearing those like rock songs, like that post alternative grunge rock music.
Yeah. I think they also followed a little more than led. Thinking about it, so not only did they follow more than lead, they also came out around the same time as big movies that really hit.
Yeah, so 2004, it was following in the wake of the success of X-Men and Spider-Man, which were Spider-Man itself was huge.
Yeah.
And then Hellboy 2, The Golden Army came out in 2008, the same year as Iron Man and The Dark Knight. So it was gonna get buried by those two.
And I think in both cases the Hellboy movies were released earlier than either of them to not be completely buried.
Yeah.
But they were overshadowed once those bigger tentpoles came along.
They were critically they're fresh. Like if you look at Rotten Tomato scores, the aggregation of that has them at 80 high 80s, and they're certified. Like they were reviewed well and they did okay, but that third one never came, and it just they came and went, and the first one has that steely blue early 2000s look to it, and
It does.
the second one is much more fun.
It is. It's more vibrant, and it's way more comedic.
Mm-hmm.
They jammed in way more comedy into it. I'll say for better or worse.
Mm-hmm.
Not the comic for better or worse. But,
That's a comic strip.
Yeah.
We can adapt that later.
Yeah.
A dog died in that comic.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it drowned saving the little girl, Elizabeth.
How heroic.
Yeah.
Hellboy. So I think that's why Blade 2 comes up more, because when Blade 2 came out, it was following up Blade, which was a huge deal when it released, right? It came out like on the tail of a bunch of bad Batmans.
Yeah, 98, right? Blade revitalized the comic book adaptation.
Yeah.
It did to comic books what Burton had done with Batman a decade earlier, where it was like, oh, this can be okay. This isn't Batman and Robin and Batman Forever, and is the Godfather that opened the door that gave us X-Men, mm-hmm. Spider-Man, and Batman Begins.
Yeah.
And Hellboy.
Yeah.
And Blade 2 came along and was like, hey, just crank all that up.
Yeah, it was kind of like, that wasn't a fluke. We can do it again. Mm-hmm. And I laughed at parts of Blade 2. Like,
oh my God.
The suplex and the Whistler sliding under the glass floor with all the guards watching. But still, none of them saw.
Outrunning light.
Oh my, yes, outrunning the light explosion by diving underwater.
Yeah,
and also they go around a corner to get away from the light, and they also dive underwater.
And the light goes
before
over
the
them.
Light gets them.
It's very much following the Aliens formula in like, let's have a ragtag team of quote unquote.
Sure.
They're vampire Marines.
Yeah.
We've been training to kill you. Now we got to kill the bigger threat. Whatever. Blade 2 is badass rated R fun.
Yeah, but the thing is that's why I think it comes up in conversations more.
Do you blush? Shut up.
And then we can start Death by a Thousand Knives kind of thing. Like even though the movies are certified fresh, right? Like that first Hellboy movie, I can totally see how and why they're like, oh, we need a character for the audience to follow through this, because the world of the BPRD and the main characters like Hellboy are going to be so alien and different that we can't relate to.
We need a human man.
And
a human.
John was it?
Yep,
John Myers?
Yep, Agent John
was such vanilla that of course you can relate to him, but also you didn't care to.
Yeah, he is pure vanilla extract that you need. That just was like, oh God. Like, no offense to the actor did his job. It was just the character was written in such a way where it was like, why are you here?
He was, because we discussed that, right? Like, he's introduced late enough that it's like, why are you here? We've already met Hellboy. Why do we need you to introduce us to this world? And then the love triangle happens, and it's like, no, we've met Hellboy, and like, so, and now you're inserting yourself when you're being brought in to be his new handler. You know he likes her, and you're still gonna try to put the moves on this dude's girlfriend.
So he's dumb.
It was really hard to like that aspect of the movie.
It feels like an early 2000s movie mistake, where it was like, oh no, the audience will never be able to get on board with this without someone who's super normal to add, like, whatever. The second one had a problem of spicing.
They got rid of him. They got rid of John
Myers. Is gone. Yeah.
And thinking about it in context of the times in 2004, I can kind of see how they thought, like, oh, we need a full origin. A normal person gets a power. Hellboy's not normal, so we need a normal person to learn about the weirdness. 2008, we've now had superhero movies. We don't need the facilitation of a normal person. So let's get rid of him and just follow Hellboy.
Right.
That's fine now.
Yeah, but the main issue with that second one, it's a good and a bad thing here. It's a better villain, but the villain has the main story.
Yeah.
He's the main character, is this elf who's trying to raise the army to get Fairy's place back on in the land of humans, and yeah, he's got the full arc.
Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, not necessarily.
Because I've been thinking about this, and I've been thinking about a way to approach a Hellboy story.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
yeah.
And I think that's a decent way to approach a Hellboy story. So you had said he's a better villain than Rasputin,
Yes.
who in that first one, he's a good villain, but in the end, like when I walk away from that first Hellboy movie, Rasputin isn't that memorable.
No.
And he should be. He should be the Moriarty of that world. He should be like the Thanos. He should be the Loki
Yes.
of that world. You should be like, oh, Rasputin.
Whoa!
He how did
Whoa!
Hellboy even manage
Mm-hmm.
to fight him off? And it that's not what happened.
He's so not good enough of a villain that Hellboy still has to fight a giant slug thing at the end.
Yeah.
Whereas in the Golden Army, the tonal inconsistency between the melodrama, the goofiness, and this very serious villain story,
Mm-hmm.
where he's got very good reasons for doing what he's doing, and I just kept saying it's better than Bright.
You did.
Because it's in a similar place as Bright, but that's neither here nor there. I like this question here that EKG asked us. Why hasn't Hellboy hooked a mainstream audience? It was critically, the first two, as we said, critics liked it. They did okay financially. Del Toro wanted to do a third one to follow up on Liz being pregnant and Hellboy raising twins. Is that in the comics?
I don't know.
Okay.
I love Hellboy, and I've read a bunch of it, but I've not read anywhere near enough. Because I was surprised when I learned the plot of the third Hellboy movie that with David Harbour actually was from the comics. So I don't know. I don't know if the being pregnant is
Hellboy and Liz are only friends in the comics, and Liz does not have any kids by Hellboy.
Okay, then that is a no.
Yeah, okay. So the movie would be a departure anyhow. Why isn't Hellboy, I guess...
Well, let's try to come at it from another angle. Are there other movie monsters that... Like, what are the movie... Because that's essentially what Hellboy is. Hellboy is a movie monster, but he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Does that exist anywhere else?
You know what? Not in the big picture, because I can think of other examples. Like, sorry, I'm remembering I, Frankenstein.
But even that, it was Aaron Eckhart with a little bit of scar makeup.
I know, but it's just like Frankenstein's monster being the hero. You know what's going to happen? James Gunn is going to crush it with Creature Commandos, because Frankenstein's monster is one of the main characters of Creature Commandos, and he's going to be a Hellboy equivalent. I'm a beast who is a cool hero.
Yep.
So no, maybe Hellboy doesn't have enough of a contemporary or colleagues, other monsters we can point at that are heroes aside from Godzilla and King Kong, who are kaiju. So that's not even in the same ballpark.
No, it's not.
So, yeah.
Maybe it is the same ballpark, because technically Hellboy does regularly fist fight kaiju.
I suppose, but Hellboy is a weird character. It's a hard. I guess it is kind of a hard sell, because he's like, oh, he's a superhero, but he's a weirdo superhero. He's not your handsome leading man superhero. He's a weirdo dude.
Kinda, yeah.
And the only red weirdo superhero people are willing to accept is Deadpool and Spider-Man.
Well, Spider-Man can take off his mask and be a handsome Toby.
Oh, that's true.
Or a handsome Andrew.
Or Tom.
Or a handsome Tom.
Yeah, that's Hellboy can't take that face off. Yeah. Okay. I mean, is that it? It just comes down to the fact that
thus, no, he can. No, I don't think so. I think there's a code to crack to make Hellboy a beloved figure of film and stage.
Yes, Hellboy the Broadway musical.
I'd watch it.
I'd watch it.
So
Dun, dun, dun.
Now I'm going to delve into a little bit of heretical critique.
Okay.
I loved Ron Perlman as Hellboy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was his choice or Del Toro's, or everyone just agreed on this. Maybe I read the comic a bit different. I think Ron Perlman's Hellboy was a bit too full of himself.
Okay. He's the best he is at what he does, and he knows it.
Kinda, yeah. Like, and it's not that Hellboy can't crack wise, but the way Ron Perlman did it was real sassy. And I don't read Hellboy as that sassy.
And to that point, David Harbour and those filmmakers followed suit to try to make him a wisecracking dude.
Yeah, I liked David Harbour's portrayal a bit better because he'll crack wise, but it's not. It in my reading, it was never like a challenge. It was never like a
Hey, where you going, Stinky? I'm right here.
I'm right here. The I'm right here bit, right? Like the going into the fight already knowing he's better. Not that Hellboy ever necessarily doubted it, but Hellboy just, to me, always had much more of a tired attitude. And maybe that doesn't translate well to like, oh yeah, let's watch a mopey devil. That sounds fun.
You know what? You know what? We just had 5 Daniel Craig James Bond movies where 4.5 of them are him going, oh, fine, I'll do it. God, I'm so tired. I'm so tired and old of doing this. And those movies made billions.
And I like, and so that's sort of what I meant earlier by like, I don't know if I said it out loud, the death by 1,000 cuts kind of thing is a lot of my, I have a bunch of critiques and they're all nitpicky. And all of those nitpicks add up to a stab. Maybe not one that's going to put it down.
Yeah.
Because again, I liked the movies, but I can kind of see why they haven't been like, let's rewatch Hellboy.
Right.
Hooray. It's this enduring thing.
So then that goes to what's the art of adaptation.
Yeah.
What do you take from the comics without even like thinking about what the plot of it is?
Sure.
But let's start dissecting and building here.
Sure.
Take it apart and build it back up of what needs to go into a Hellboy movie that satisfies you as the creator.
Okay.
And thus would satisfy the fans and then satisfy a new audience. Like, what do we need to put into a Hellboy movie that starts checking off the boxes of going, okay, this is what makes the comic so good and this character so cool, and now you're all going to love him too. It's not just he's red punchy man. There's more to it than that. One of the comments you kept making is even just how it's filmed versus how Mike Mignola draws.
Yeah.
Mike Mignola has this really noirish, hard line, hard color look to his books.
Even when a scene is bright, there's so much shadow.
Yeah, it's very, very classic noir. Like,
yeah, and I would want to film it that way. And Del Toro had a bunch of stuff, more in the first than in the second. He had a lot of scenes that were lit spot on, but there was also a lot that wasn't.
It should look like the Batman.
Yes, that was yes, that's the movie I invoked of something to look at and be like, that's how dark I imagine visually a Hellboy should be.
Let's see those shadows and the creatures
only
lurking.
see like only the things that would ever be highlighted would be lit, and everything else is just, it's going to be dark. It's going to be a dark movie.
So as a starting point, crafting something that looks like the Batman, you're creating a visual language that's going to set it apart from the fun and incredible production design of Del Toro, but setting it apart enough to go, like, I know people who dislike the Batman as a narrative and as performance, but cannot deny the look looks good. Cinematographer friends I have who are like, hated the movie, but love the look of it. And so you're creating an aesthetic by saying that it needs to look this way. If it looks this way, you're already setting a tone, a visual language that people are going to jump on board for.
Yeah.
So great.
And the reason there's a reason for that to be that way, because the things Hellboy fights, these monsters in the dark, carry that sort of dark gravity to them. And even Hellboy's backstory is that. And so what...
for those who might not know, can you break it down to its simplest
what his
part?
backstory is?
It's Lovecraftian, right?
Yeah. So the Ogdru Jahad are these beings from before creation, and they are locked away in stasis in giant space rocks.
And Hellboy
is the son of the devil, and holds the right hand of doom, which is the key to awakening the Ogdru Jahad to destroy the world.
So Hellboy's destiny is to bring about the end of all things.
Yes.
And just by chance, through mistakes or through happenstance,
Rasputin reads a couple of the prophecies wrong. He with the help of Nazis, enacts the ritual to bring Hellboy to Earth to begin the end of the world. Only it summons him to the wrong place, and the allies are there. Professor Broom and a bunch of
American soldiers
during World War II are there.
And
although I guess Del Toro put them in the same place.
Yeah.
The Allies were just able to defeat the Nazis at that point, and they get a hold of Hellboy and raise him.
And so, much like Kal-El landing in Kansas and being raised by the most wholesome, salt of the earth people, a being that could be the ultimate end of us all is given a family and love and affection, and it's nurture over nature.
Yeah.
And Hellboy is raised to be good.
Yeah.
And a hero and do heroic things, which is to fight the things within the shadows, the evil that lurks all around us, and
that looks to be our end.
Yeah.
And punches them. Yeah. Right. It honestly, that origin sort of embodies what he's supposed to be. The Nazis are the evil dragon trying to control the world and change destiny, and they worship the black sun and all this stuff. And then the American soldiers come in and they say, "Not today, fascist!" and they punch him. They punch Hitler right in the mouth.
Pow!
And that's what Hellboy does. He goes in and he punches these evil demons right in the mouth and says, "Not today."
Yeah.
And the other part of it is Hellboy's story is about choosing your destiny or choosing. It's free will versus destiny, right?
Yeah.
Like all of these forces are aligned to be like, no, you must. I always forget his true name, Amon something. You must embrace your destiny. You will end you will end the world. It is prophecy. And he just says, no, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that as a theme, that's something that could be a universal theme. That's something that choosing your own destiny versus being told what you are, as well as the nature versus nurture versus nature argument. Rooting that all in the subtext of any story, Hellboy or otherwise, you're going to, I think, create something, themes that people can attach themselves to.
Sure.
So is there something in the characterization of Hellboy himself? You've already touched on it. You don't see him as like a wisecracking. He's not Chris Pratt Star-Lord. He's not Rocket Raccoon or Tony Stark.
Not quite. He is, but I'm doing a I don't know how to say exactly what he. Just read it. Just read it.
Okay. Everyone, take a
moment.
moment.
And maybe I'm entirely wrong. Maybe Ron Perlman was spot on with the attitude.
Well, what I'll do this, I'll plant the seed now, and the reason I'm defaulting to Jim so much is because you've read so much of it and I have not.
Yeah.
And so I'm defaulting to you, to the expert. So I'm gonna plant the seed now, and you can grow it over the next hour. Cast. I mean,
okay.
Now the demand did say try to get Ron Perlman back.
Yeah.
So fine, but now then if Ron Perlman's come back and you're directing, you are going to have to tell him little tweaks to change. So if we just decide, Ron Perlman and Doug Jones are back, they were so good in the parts anyway, why not?
Yeah.
It does honor the demand. But if you can think of an alternative to say this person should do it, that'll create the right performance for you.
Sure.
Just think about that.
So here's the difference. Like I would direct him to be more tired. I like I said, I know a mopey hero isn't a great one, but
and I said Daniel Craig did a fine job.
Yeah, but because the way he behaves, even more so in the first one, even more so in the second one, is kind of like a petulant teenager.
Yeah, he does have.
And while he's immortal, that's Hellboy's not a petulant teenager.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, in the comics, even when he was a teenager, he wasn't a petulant teenager. He ages up into his sort of adult form pretty fast,
mm-hmm.
and gets put on assignment by the BPRD. So there's lots of stories of him already kind of doing stuff, but definitely by the modern era, he's
well. Here's what would allow us to get there organically is if we choose to have Ron Perlman and Doug Jones come back, without whether we want to choose to use the twins or that he's a family man. It is, 16 years later. So he is 16 years older. There's some time has passed. Just making him older, wiser, and more world weary.
Sure.
Inherently creates a more grounded, serious, maybe not tired, but like just someone who's like, it's the miles. It's the years and the miles now kind of attitude. We're not giving him. I just evoked Indiana Jones.
Actually, Indiana Jones, that's a good amount of like snark and attitude. Indiana Jones at no point gets sassy.
Yeah.
but he will still throw out a one-liner or a quip, and punch a Nazi in the mouth and give a good one-liner.
Okay.
I think that's a good comparison for tone and attitude.
Okay. Well, let's start picking apart a story here. What would we like to do with these characters? I'm gonna go first.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna go first.
Okay.
Never mind. I don't have anything. You go.
Oh, okay. So I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about how following these characters and having having their story arc feels strange to me. So even though I didn't like the addition of John Myers, I was thinking maybe because I also like the idea of Hellboy not having to every story arc. I did like Golden Army in that it didn't have to deal with his fate and you're going to bring on the end of the world and are you going to do it or not? We're going to make you do it. I really liked that about Golden Army.
It's similar to Batman Returns does not talk about the Wayans being dead.
Yeah.
It's like cool. One of these stories doesn't have to do with the same old tired thing.
But then Hellboy 2 was about Hellboy needs to grow up and not seek the limelight, and he's going to have to stop being a kid because he's going to be a dad kind of thing.
Take on that responsibility.
And it's not that I don't want or think Hellboy couldn't have a character arc, but I think there's something to the idea of approaching him in a narrative as kind of a Doctor Who figure. So I guess I am suggesting we have some other agents we follow. And one of the things I would like to take from the books, at least in my reading of them, that the movies made the BPRD more like Men in Black. They all wore suits and sunglasses and attended themselves as, I guess, because they were supposed to be a part of the FBI.
Right.
Whereas in the comics, the BPRD, they are field agents, right? They wear military tack, and they're equipped for the field. And I would like to push that a little more to the front. That it's its own agency. It's not just a branch of the FBI, and they're not Men in Black. They're not suits with secret vans, though they can be.
Right.
So I guess what I'm the direction I'm thinking is honestly a lot more like Golden Army, where we come up with a scenario that the BPRD then has to address.
Okay.
And we can have an agent. I like the idea of doing a little bit of Aliens in that Hellboy is our Ripley, and then he's surrounded by some other agents.
Sure.
And we want, as we did with the Marines and Aliens, we get to know these people and like them, and thus we don't know who's going to make it.
We want them to survive.
Even though we know Hellboy will be the one to make it,
right?
He can't save everyone. Kind of. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I like that. Having a cast of like 5 or 6, Abe in there as well.
Yeah.
Abe Sapien in there as well. And yeah, so just go right to it. What's the villain? What's the threat? What is the thing? I like the notion of a cold open where they are like, we just launch ourselves into action and we see this unit working as a team. We meet the Marines, then we meet Abe, and last but not least, Big Red comes in and finishes the deal. That way we are introduced to this ragtag group of heroes who are they're the ones who can crack wise and have various personality types, much like the Marines in Aliens, endearing us to them in an opening, fun, actiony, to keep it dark, I would much rather go towards like Alien Romulus, where it's like horror action, and make it cool and scary and just enough violence and whatever they're facing in this opening ends with Hellboy coming in and being their hammer. Like, okay, sure. Here he is.
Kind of, yeah.
Hey, Big Red's here. Like even having him placing bets when he's going to show up. Like, I'm telling you, he's going to be here any minute now. Like just have some, like, they're good at what they do and they all get along and we'll like them right away. Then Hellboy comes in, kicks some ass, and boom, we've met our team of heroes. And then sending them back to exposit on the who, the what, and the where of the BPRD and who these people are, and laying the seeds for now. Like, okay, what's the main thread of this movie?
Sure.
So we've had Rasputin, who wants to unleash the eldritch beings upon the world and end it. We had a fey prince who's sick of the human world, who wants to raise the golden army of the mechanical golden army to unleash upon the world and take it back for fairydom. Remind me of Hellboy in 2019.
It ended up going back to sort of his fate, right? Because it, if I remember right, it picked up not right where the second one left off, but Hellboy had quit. Or had he come back for that one? I can't remember now. But it did eventually lead back to the demons and Baba Yaga.
That's right.
Kind of pulling him back in and trying to force him to finally embrace his fate. And he does. Like, we see the terrible beings pop up in England with some spotty effects.
So
Ian McShane is a ghost of Professor Broom, and he has a heart-to-heart with his floating head. Hellboy has a heart-to-heart with Professor Broom's floating head.
More spotty effects.
Yeah.
Given those 3 main villains, I'm not even going to bother with the cartoons. Just those 3 live-action villains. Knowing that pushing this more towards the horror category, trying to rated R horror action. I don't know if a singular take over the world villain is the right way to go. I think it should be some sort of creature or creatures, or getting the big, I'll destroy the entire galaxy entities. Like one of
sure,
it seems small but it's bigger. I don't want a mustache twirling prince. Not that the prince was mustache twirling, but you know what I mean. Like, his was I'm gonna take over the world. Like, it's not that.
I'm fine with that if I can think of one, and I can't think of one.
Well, I liked the Baba Yaga. My love for fables.
Sure.
Just the notion of folklore being awful, evil darkness that exists on Earth outside
Baba
of.
Yaga in the Hellboy story is so freaking badass. She is Rasputin's patron,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
It's so good.
But if we can unlock a villain here, and if you can pull one from the comics, great. Or if we can create some sort of archetypal villain that our heroes can then face off against, then we can start building the set pieces and the scenarios of, you get what I'm saying. We can start lining up the dominoes. So what, for you as the fan, as the art of loving the adaptation here, what are the eponymous villains of Hellboy? Like when you think of Hellboy fighting something,
We've seen them: Rasputin, Baba Yaga,
okay,
demons, Fae.
okay. So we've
Now
got
Mike Mignola and Christopher Golden have done an excellent job of plumbing other folklore and stuff and incorporating it all into the greater Hellboy cosmology, but I don't know it well enough to fully plumb it correctly.
well
Like
given
he's had fist fights with Anubis. He was, I think it was Hecate that he was almost drowned by. He defeated Hecate. Um, ah,
all right. Let's storm some ideas here of like, we started our, like, we already talked about it, but I'm gonna remind, we started talking about Captain Nemo and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
yeah,
Is there a fictional villain, from a literary villain?
yeah.
We've had folklore, we've had ancient sci-fi evil, we've had a historical villain in Rasputin. So thinking four quadrant villainy here, is there a literary villain? Moriarty, Dracula.
I'm sure there.
Name one then.
I think Hellboy has had sort of encounters with all of them. I think he's encountered Dracula. I think he's encountered Frankenstein. I'm almost positive he's punched the heads off mummies.
Like Grendel, or like facing off against Beowulf, gone bad.
Beowulf gone bad.
Yeah, Hellboy,
Oh, no.
Beowulf gone bad. That sounds like one of those pay-per-view, like after midnight Skinamax.
Right, so then it's a matter of choosing something from mythology or literature that would be big and interesting enough for him to fight. And all that's coming to mind is the phrase "werewolves of London."
You want him to fight werewolves?
He probably has, and
well,
I'm just not. But he hasn't in the movies.
He's had in the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to write a werewolf movie?
Maybe?
Hellboy versus werewolves.
Maybe. Do you want to write a werewolf movie?
I mean, I'm always about writing me some werewolves.
I also really like the reference to the Warren Zevon song.
That song can play during the credits of the movie.
I think it played in American Werewolf in London as well. That's okay. We can do it too.
We can do it too. Yeah, is werewolves the way to go? And alternatively, now I know Wonder Woman and Thor have dealt with some pantheons of Greek and Norse.
Mm-hmm.
You said Anubis, so Egyptian mythology. Is there a Greek, like Wonder Woman fought Ares, but so we can't have Hellboy fighting Ares, but having Hellboy fight, say, Prometheus, who gifted the earth with fire, there's a little bit of fun to be had in the
The problem with that is Prometheus is a good guy.
Right. But after eons of watching what humanity has done with technology, which is what fire represents, Prometheus is disappointed with what humanity has done, and now is like, you know what? I'll kill you all, and now I must fight a Hellboy. I don't know, just throwing that out there as an option. Like if there's a pantheon of gods that could be faced off.
Hellboy did fight. I'm quickly looking. He fought the Minotaur in 1962.
All right.
And defeated it. So if we're trying, he's already done that. Doesn't mean we can't. Doesn't mean we couldn't rewrite the story.
Him fighting the Minotaur, going through.
What I would do is I'd do something like Where was the labyrinth located?
Oh
Can't
God!
remember.
In the mythology of like where?
Yeah, where was? Basically, I'd call it something like Hellboy Labyrinth. Hellboy Labyrinth. Hellboy.
Well, in the myth, like
Yeah.
the Minotaur is at the center. It's oh God, Cronus, not Cronus.
No.
It's like Cronus.
King
No,
Minos.
Gnosis,
What about Gnosis?
Gnosis on an island. Like that was the
Oh,
labyrinth is in
Labyrinth of Gnosis.
the labyrinth of Gnosis. Yes.
Thank you. That's what I was looking
Yeah.
for. I want to call it something like Hellboy in
Labyrinth
the
of
Labyrinth
Gnosis.
of Gnosis.
Okay. That if we decide to delve into Greek mythology here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the BPRD discovers, or maybe something escapes from the labyrinth,
Mm-hmm.
and thus BPRD has to go investigate it.
Okay. Yeah. What was it? The Minotaur's at the center, but what was so
That's it.
King? Well, the king
King Minos.
He
commissioned
Daedalus.
Daedalus,
Yeah.
to
My
build the
God,
labyrinth.
scratching the recesses of my memory here for Greek mythology, but
And they would send basically unwanted people
into
in there.
and if you could get through the labyrinth to the center
free.
and face the Minotaur, survive the Minotaur, then you're free.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Daedalus had a leopards eat his face moment, and that Minos condemned him to go through the labyrinth with his son. They had the whole string through the labyrinth thing,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how they got through because he friggin' built it, so he knew how to get through.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had wings to fly away from the
Minotaur.
to get off the island at the end, and then his son didn't listen to him and fell into the ocean.
God damn kids in there. When you fly with the wing, Icarus and that kid must have been friends. Like
Kid Icarus.
Kid Icarus, yeah. All right, well, that's a fine like location
Mm-hmm.
and part of the adventure, but that's not enough to like hinge a whole movie upon. If the Minotaur is their big threat that they face first, that like, oh, there's a Minotaur just tromping through.
Oh, as far as it becomes or then it's not that something escaped; it's that something went in, someone important that they can't have be lost.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why BPRD has to go in after them.
Let's try this. They have their opening adventure. We see the team working at their finest. Then they get back and they're given the assignment. Like Abe is given a separate assignment than Hellboy. So we have two, like an A plot and a B plot that circle back on each other and end up being connected.
Okay.
Maybe Abe is visiting Atlantis. Like there's some sort of like we need an emissary to go talk to the Atlanteans. They've been causing some guff recently. Do Atlanteans exist
I
in
don't
the
think that's how Atlanteans exist in the BPRD world.
Okay.
But
I'm trying to like build this out, having A plot and B plot that circle back on each other and end with them meeting at the labyrinth, getting through that face off in the center for our big final showdown. Sorry, these are very thin moments that I'm trying to build off here.
I would the way I would do it is I would instead split them in the maze.
Okay.
Hellboy's with one team, Abe's with another.
Mm-hmm.
And they managed for their radios are still working, so they're
able to communicate with each other.
Yeah.
We're still.
That's not what you're looking to do.
No, not necessarily not what I'm looking to do. It's just a matter of like, what's the story? Labyrinth Minotaur. That's not enough. Like, there's no. What's the meat of this? The meat of the
punching a Minotaur.
The meat of Hellboy 2004. Rasputin is trying to open up a portal. We must stop him before he does that. B plot, Hellboy and Liz. Second one, we have a prince who's trying to raise an army. Stop him before he does that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we need. We need to know who is our main antagonist and what is the main threats, and then we can determine how to execute stopping them. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. We're going to take our break here, give ourselves a few minutes to just take a water break. We're telling the studio executives that we just need to hydrate for a moment. we're both going to visit the bathroom at the same time because
Yeah.
our pee schedules have lined up.
Mhm.
So just enjoy your coffee. We'll be right back.
Bladder synchronization.
Okay, we'll be right back with some more Hellboy after these messages from 6.5 Media. Okay, we're back.
This is what I was afraid of.
Whoa! You don't have nothing to be afraid of because I got an idea here.
Okay.
So I want to pitch a new way to go about here.
Okay.
I like the Minotaur. I like the Labyrinth. I think there might be something to be had in that being a set piece.
Mhm.
But I want to go somewhere else with this. Okay.
Okay.
So Hellboy, as I'm to understand it, his destiny is he's the forerunner of the destruction of the world.
Yep.
So he's the son of evil, and essentially, and he's the Silver Surfer to evil Galactus. Right?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay. So there are other mythological figures that have similar destinies or have faced similar fates and failed. So what if those are the villains that have essentially teamed up in one way or another and formed their own little brotherhood of evil that are going to, wreak evil upon the world?
Who do you have in mind?
Okay. Well, wanting to play more horror tropes and moving away from like action adventure, like
Mhm.
getting into like you're gonna be able to think of more. I'm just gonna start with like a starting point here. So just straight up Lucifer, like the Morning Star, like the devil himself, in Christian mythology,
Mhm.
as opposed to like Hellboy is the son of the devil.
Yeah.
Like, is he literally the son of Lucifer, or is he the son of the belief of the devil through all of different types of religious beliefs?
He is the son of the devil and a witch.
Okay. But is that devil
And-
Lucifer?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We'll move back. We'll take Papa off the table then.
'Kay.
Okay. So not Lucifer. Okay. So Grendel is the son of
Mhm.
Mother,
Yep.
which faced off against Beowulf. So Grendel is a little mutant goblin, awful. But there's no reason to say Grendel can't be a more capable, threatening foe.
Grendel was incredibly capable.
I guess I'm just thinking of him being this like mongoloid-looking thing.
Okay, but now make him 4 times bigger than you're imagining.
Okay, so Grendel has been defeated in ancient mythology and has now resurrected and is ready to wreak havoc. So Grendel versus Hellboy, it's two sons of evil fighting each other.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to throw Grendel out there as an option. Oh God, I can't remember what the origin of these two characters are. There's two dragons. There's a dragon and a smoke monster that are brothers. I think they're Norse.
I know a lot of Norse, and I don't recognize those.
I should have looked them up before I went into action here. Fafnir.
Oh.
Is
Yeah, that
Oh no,
sounds-
it's German folklore.
It's Germanic. Oh.
Yes, it's Germanic
Yeah.
folklore. So there's Fafnir and his brother
Smokenir.
Smokenir. No, it's like Regan or something like that. And they are Germanic. They're dragons of Germanic folklore. So having a villain utilizing a dragon and a smoke monster as minions, and also brotherhood would be a theme in that because they are brotherly entities in folklore, and Hellboy being an only child in a sense, could be tempted by the villain who's like, we're not so different, you and I. We are practically brothers. If Grendel is our villain here, and another character, I'm just realizing this now, who the oldest recorded story in earthly history is about brotherhood, Gilgamesh and Akindu. Gilgamesh was a god amongst humans and had no equal, so went on a mission, a journey to find his equal.
Okay.
And found Akindu, I think is his name.
Okay.
And then once they found each other, they lived happily ever after, and then died because without one or the other, what's the point of living if I don't have my best bud? So Gilgamesh, Grendel, these dragon brothers, there's a theme of brotherhood and power and seeking out companionship.
Sure. My problem with Grendel and some of these is they met an end in their stories. So they, and I may be not taking, I'm probably not taking into account a number of Hellboy stories. Like the things he fights didn't have ends in their own legends. It's not that they, or there was a reason that they came back, right? Because Rasputin is dead.
Right.
But he's a magic dude, and he made a deal with Baba Yaga, who
Yeah.
brings him back. So I guess that could happen as well. I know of the ones you named, I know the most about Grendel and Beowulf.
Yeah.
So that would be the direction I would lean. So what is it that brings Grendel and or his mother back?
Could there be something in where is the devil in the Hellboy mythology?
I don't know.
So
in hell,
right? But if the devil is disappointed that his son has not executed his earthly duties, he could be the one to send Grendel. If Lucifer is the man behind the curtain, orchestrating.
Oh, I'm wrong. It's not the devil. It's not Lucifer. His biological parents are Sarah Hughes, a human woman who is descended from King Arthur.
Cool.
And it's not cool. It was the story I liked the least.
Oh, okay.
And Azael, an Archduke of Hell.
Okay, so Lucifer could be a character in this.
Yes.
If Lucifer, the fallen star, the morning star, decides, why send a boy to do why send a Hellboy to do a man's job, and Lucifer, so it's just Hellboy versus the devil. No? Jim's grumbling, folks. I'm
trying to find out what
okay.
Lucifer's role in the Hellboy universe is.
So, Grendel, as a villain, he really only does what he does to avoid boredom. Like Grendel is just bored of being immortal, and then just unleashes himself, and then Beowulf has to destroy him.
Kind of. Grendel regularly comes by this village and does what he wants, which is usually killing a bunch of people.
Yeah, he hates the Danes. He hates those Danes so much.
And so they send for a hero. And many heroes have tried, and they've all been murdered horrendously by Grendel. Beowulf shows up with his dudes, and he's like, I got this.
Okay.
And they go to sleep that night. They party, and they fall asleep that night in the longhouse, right? The main chamber. And Grendel comes in as he does, and he starts killing people before they can even wake up. He starts killing them, and they're panicking. Nothing they can do can stop Grendel. Their axes and swords do nothing. And Beowulf gets up, and he goes and he basically fist fights Grendel. I read a story. It sort of recontextualized Beowulf with these details. Say he was kind of an original superhero.
Yeah.
And Grendel was a super villain, where because they go toe to toe, and Beowulf rips his arm off.
Rips his arms off.
Both of them.
Right. That's what ends up ultimately.
I know it was one of them.
Yeah. Dude,
and
the
like
BPRD gets called to a location that has mysterious deaths happening in Denmark, and it's Grendel. Like, let's do that, and then.
Okay, but why did he come back? Because Beowulf beats him, goes on to become king. Mother shows up, and I think Beowulf dies killing the mother dragon.
Yeah, they die together.
Yeah.
So up to a point, like whether we want to reference that this is just repeating history, which then becomes a mystery of the movie. Like, wait, this is Hellboy is essentially reenacting, like the events of Beowulf are unfolding as they have in myth in our reality now. I know how this is going to go. Hellboy can even be cocky about this. Like, I'm going to fist fight this just like my boy Beowulf, and I'm going to get the job done after he's murderized people in very horrific R-rated ways. And we know how this story is going to unfold, and then it doesn't unfold that way. Like, up to a point, it's like, oh, Even they can be self-aware of the myth coming into reality. And then there's a turning point where after Grendel is defeated, like, how did Grendel come back? Okay, we defeated him again. Does then Grendel, like, who resurrected Grendel? How is this happening again? Now we have a mystery for Abe to unlock.
Okay, I'm going to stop trying to be careful with the Hellboy mythology.
Well,
let's play into that. Let's play into that Northlands stuff,
like Scandinavian, Danish in particular, because
I don't know many other Danish.
Sure.
myths.
I was just picking.
I mostly know Norse, so I'm going to start diving into Norse stuff. What if it's Hel? Hel is one of the daughters of Loki,
Mm-hmm.
And she rules over the underworld.
Mm-hmm.
And she's sick of waiting for Ragnarok, and so she wants to enact it early.
Mm-hmm.
And to do that, she needs to entice. She needs to get a hold of Hel. She needs to get a hold of the right hand of doom.
Mm-hmm.
And so to do that, she resurrects, because she has the capability to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Resurrects Grendel,
Mm-hmm.
and has him go on his little rampages.
So mother in this
his
scenario,
attention.
the mother in this scenario is Hel.
Yes.
Yeah, got it.
Which does attract the attention of the BPRD.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's what the opening is they send a team without Hellboy or any of their normal agents, or any of their paranormal agents. They just send nameless normal agents, and they all get murdered.
Mm-hmm.
And what's sent back is enough for Abe Sapien to piece together that's Grendel.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when they're like, okay, we need to send Hellboy, because anyone else is just going to get torn limb from limb.
Right.
So he has his confrontation with, and that's what, the first 15 minutes of the movie?
I would argue against all of that. I'd say that we still have the opening where we see the team working very capably. That's the cold open. Then the assignment seems innocuous. Go investigate this over here. So Abe goes with a group, and Hellboy gets a side quest over here. Then the end of Act 1 is Abe witnessing all this happening and putting together that's Grendel and needing to call in Hellboy. And then then Hellboy is reunited with Abe, and now the movie can unfold with the information that somehow Grendel came back. So I just tacked back on the opening we had suggested,
sure.
So we can see Hellboy rolling with his team with Hicks and Vasquez and game over, man. So I very glibly said I would argue against all of that, but all I mean is like yes to all of that, but also what we already established.
Okay.
So now you have a half hour of a movie.
Okay.
So Grendel is the threat. Hellboy shows up.
Defeats him.
It's fight time. Boom. Cool. We defeated the threat. No, Hellboy. The real question is how is Grendel here?
Why is Grendel here? Yeah.
How, and more importantly, why, or vice versa. Why, and more importantly, how. Well, who cares? You figure that out, Abe. I'll punch that too. There's a bigger thing here than that we've now unlocked.
Yep.
Well, following the mythology, it would be is to go to Grendel's mom, is to go to the mountain.
Okay.
And then, surprise, it's Hel. She's like, I've been waiting for you. When are you going to unleash your power on the world and destroy it? I'm tired of waiting.
I'm not going to do that.
No, okay.
That's that. No, that would.
Okay.
Hellboy's answer would be like, yeah, that's.
I was glib with you. You got glib with me. It's fine.
That's not in the cards.
Yeah. Hellboy's like, no, I'm not going to do it. You're not the first person to try to convince me to fulfill this destiny that I have no interest in fulfilling. Fine.
If you won't do it yourself, I'll take it from you.
Well, she's already proven capable of unleashing one threat, so why not unleash more? See, now we're building that. Now it's turned into an action-adventure movie where there's hell being released all over the world. If we want to maintain the horror of this, the noirish horror of it,
There's also the mystery trail to follow.
Mhm.
Like, we got to create a mystery to solve, rather than just going there and she's there.
Like they could get to the mountain and there's the first, like the next clue is like, oh, there was something opened here, a portal opened here. We now need to connect the dots here. Get some Stonehenge druids involved. Maybe Coyote from Native American lore comes in.
Sure. I feel like I'm walking through mud with this. I'm not sure why. I think I know why.
What?
I think it's because I like Hellboy so much I'm afraid to do anything.
This is why I started the episode talking about adapting a character that stays
know.
true to the character without being so married to the source material.
I know. But here I am.
Yeah.
And also, Jim, you don't have to worry about it because really, if any, I only have to pay attention to the movie canon.
Yeah, and I also want to point out, in our watching it, you had suggested that these should feel serialized. You had said Hellboy should feel like a serial where you just pop in, watch an adventure, and walk away.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll scrap all this and start over again if you want.
No. This is fine. We're fine. What I mean by is I'm not sure where to go next. Like I love Hellboy stories. I love following them, but like I'm almost more following you. Like, oh, okay, and then where do we go? I'm on board.
Yeah.
What does that mean? What does that unlock?
Okay, let's.
And I feel I'm sorry that I'm just kind of making you lead me by the nose.
With an IP that I have very little information to work off of.
Hellboy. So we put Hellboy on the screen, and then just like a series of monsters, and he punches them, but like in the dark. So it's it's cool.
It's nice and horror.
Good job, Jim.
Dark horror. It's like the Batman, but with monsters.
5 years in, and this is what you're reduced to.
I'll lead. You want me to lead here?
Okay.
Okay. Here's my pitch. Okay. I'm cracking open the egg that is my nerd brain back to the first mythology I loved, which is like Greek mythology and Norse mythology, and then we've already like delved in there. So I'm just gonna keep pitching my Grendel pitch, and you tell me. And I like your Hell idea, so this is what I'm gonna go with. We have our cold opening. We see the team work together. Mm-hmm. Okay. They get back to the BPRD, and they what do you think about, in tradition of the first two, we open with a myth? Because the first one, like just having Broom come back and do the myth of Grendel, like actually reminding people the story of Beowulf and like the defeat of Grendel, right?
Sure.
Then we have the horror action opening where Hellboy comes in with his team and they win, defeat the day, boom, go back to the BPRD. There's maybe between them getting back and defeat, we see in Denmark murders. Oh, just like the opening, Grendel murdering some Denmark people. No. Okay, some archaeologists unwittingly release Grendel's spirit with the there's a stone that Pandora used.
Oh.
The drug stone. It's the stone that Pandora uses.
I only know about her box.
Okay, that contains contains the undead, or it can like control the undead. God, I'm gonna have to look this. I'm gonna look it up. I'm sorry, I should.
That's okay.
Here we go. The Draugr stone, the power to raise the undead.
Draugr.
The Draugr
stone. The Draugr is the spirits of drowned sailors.
Okay,
basically. It's interesting. I was watching a thing online. Draugr, when they're commonly used now in video games and movies, they're just undead Vikings, and that undermines so much of what the legend of the Draugr is.
Well,
is what those videos were about.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
Now that Draugr.
So in Denmark, archaeologists release Grendel and the Draugr stone, and Grendel is resurrected and starts terrorizing a town. Then the BPRD gets the call. They send Abe and the group out there to investigate. Maybe Hellboy's with them right away.
Mm-hmm.
They receive, like, BPRD gets the call, mysterious deaths in Denmark, and they note the victims were mutilated, and it's very much like a historical accounts of Grendel. Like, right out of the bat, they're like, this is like when Grendel, in the myth of Grendel. So Hellboy is dispatched with the gang, and they investigate, and their mission is to just stop the creature before it regains its full strength. So they get to Denmark. They begin the investigation. Grendel is now fully resurrected, attacks the village, leaves no survivors. Hellboy and the team track Grendel to a forest, and then we have a big battle in the forest in the dark of night with snow everywhere. So it's like hard white light of the snow and moonlight and the shadows of the trees, and Hellboy just punch-sizing Grendel. But Grendel is like unstoppable, like fueled by ancient dark magic, and the team, a bunch of them gets killed, and the rest like narrowly escape.
Okay.
And they're like, okay, more than brute force is going to be needed to defeat Grendel. Okay, so they regroup, and they encounter a very trying to, if we could stick with Norse, a Valkyrie.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Okay, so they encounter in the woods, like,
Because a Valkyrie picks up the souls of dead warriors. Picks up the soldiers to take them to Valhalla.
So after Grendel has killed half the team, they encounter Valkyrie taking the soldiers away.
Sure.
And they're like, hey, talk to us. Like,
no.
So a Valkyrie reveals that Grendel's resurrection is part of a bigger plan from Hela, or Hel, the goddess of death.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Valkyrie explains that this is an exposit dump of Hel wants to break the boundaries between the living and the dead, and was using Grendel as a weapon of destruction. And if Grendel can't be stopped, it's the beginning of Ragnarok, which is all she wants anyway. And so they convince the Valkyrie to open a portal to hell, to the underworld. So then they have to go below to labyrinth their way through the frozen wasteland of the Norse underworld.
Sure.
To find, which would have like tons of dead warriors and like warriors from all like different centuries.
Sure. Okay. Yes.
And then make their way to her palace, which can be like this big towering fortress of like bone and ice, and then along the way they could fight a dragon. If they, just like the guard dog can be. Do you remember any Norse dragon names? Whatever, they fight a Norse dragon, Serpentine, and then Hellboy beats it.
One of the alternate stories I was thinking was actually that he'd fight Fenrir. Like if we're going to do the werewolf thing, it might all go to Fenrir.
We're getting real close to Thor Ragnarok at this point. If we're going to bring in a giant wolf.
Well, but you just asked if there were any.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine.
And I was just going to say, Hel and Fenris, they're technically siblings.
Mm-hmm.
They're both children of Loki.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But I would feel bad making Fenris just a stop on the road where I just punch the dog and I move on.
Let's not punch a dog. Let's punch a dragon. So then they get inside the fortress. She reveals her like evil plan to break the boundaries between and that would make her the supreme ruler of all realms. If hell is unleashed on Earth, she rules Earth. So I know I said I didn't want to do a rule of the world plot, but I'm going there.
Sure.
She wants to unleash hell because she's the leader. She rules hell, and if hell is on Earth, she rules Earth. She just wants to expand her kingdom and just have Ragnarok and be in charge of it all.
Okay.
So then Hellboy and Hela fight, and she's commanding forces of like undead. So like Abe and the we go alien. We get some aliens homages as they're facing off against hell things.
Yeah.
Hellboy takes on her directly, and then with the Valkyrie's help, Hellboy weakens her using the stone. Like uses that to
Sure.
like
Okay.
if it's one of our MacGuffins,
Yeah.
uses the stone to sort of sap Hela's power at like severing her connection between the living world and the dead, and
It would sever her power to control the undead.
yeah.
So then it would just be back down to like all of the dead would drop dead,
Yeah.
and it would be back to her.
And then maybe this is the last. This isn't the last fight. So she like like there's worse things to come than me, Hellboy. The ultimate battle awaits, and she somehow escapes. And they're like, okay, maybe they do defeat her.
I thought you were building up to that. That was the
finale,
the climax.
Yeah,
finale,
yeah. Like even though they defeat her, she could give like a foreboding warning, like I may rule hell, but I am not the end all be all of evil. Your father is, or something like that. Like your destiny is still going to be fulfilled, whether I invoke it or not.
Yeah.
And Hellboy is left with that like loss of his friends, defeated the evil in the underworld, and like the team returned to like the mortal realm or whatever, and they think the crisis is over. I'm gonna do a 5-acter.
Maybe you are. You're gonna keep going. Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
It could end there.
All right.
If that was where it ended, satisfied, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But if it's all about fulfilling destiny and bringing about the apocalypse, which is his destiny anyway, it's all about a child fulfilling their progenitor's will, Grendel and his mother kind of thing. The devil himself could show up and be like, you are my right hand, and your right-handed doom is meant to bring about the end of the world. Maybe this is more like set up for sequel stuff. We don't have to do this.
Okay.
Because ultimately I was going to build it up to Hellboy fights Satan. But let's leave it at that. So get down to the underworld, face off against Hela, and destroy her, and thus defeat the threat. And so it's Hellboy and the frozen underworld. It's Hellboy versus Grendel. Like I'm trying to think of like a subtitle for this. Hell on Earth. No. What do you think of that?
That's good.
Boom. Hellboy
Done.
movie.
Hellboy movie.
But I don't know if that satisfies. Like,
I don't either. I would like to throw an alternate at you, and it goes down a road that I didn't think I wanted to go at all.
Yeah.
So here's a bonus second Hellboy. It actually picks up after the second movie, not right after. It's 16 years later. And Hellboy has 2 twin sons.
Okay.
I don't know what their names are. Doesn't matter right now. Hellboy Jr. and Junior Hellboy. I don't care. And Liz, somehow Liz is written out of the picture, right? To again respect Selma Blair.
Yeah.
Liz has always been sort of a mercurial character anyway, who it might make sense that she would disappear from a family, like she just can't handle. She can't handle Hellboy and 2 smaller versions of him. And so he's sort of left raising these twins, and they fight constantly. I'm trying to invoke a story, a legend, a myth that I don't know nearly enough about.
Go ahead.
But one of them, in a fit of Raphael of the TMNT, gets mad enough that he basically runs away.
Okay. What myth are you trying to evoke?
I didn't say it.
Okay.
I'm burying the lead.
Okay, that's fine.
As he tries to find his other son, and he's dragging the one who didn't run away with him, or maybe they both like take off in different directions, and he has to somehow find both of his sons and bring them back. What he ends up finding out is, in the wake of where his sons are going, the BP, because this picks up, he's quit. All of them have quit. right? So maybe like he contacts Abe, he contacts Kraus to help him find his sons. Because also, as powerful and invincible as Hellboy is, it's turning out at 16 his sons have grown. They're near full men, and they're stronger than him.
Classic comic books. Children
Yep.
always be more powerful than their parents.
And so he's having to track them down, and in the wake of them, he's finding the BPRD are also trying to track his children. He's not happy with that, but he gets even less happy when he finds out that they're actually kind of the good guys here. They're trying to prevent more damage from happening, but also there are Nazis trying to get a hold of his kids to control them, to again try to reenact the Ragnarok, that the end of the world that he was meant to bring about.
Right.
He's trying to get they're trying to get his kids to do it. That's when he finds out, through either talking to a devil or something, that his children are the prophesied Gog and Magog.
Oh, okay.
I was initially thinking maybe a Romulus and Remus thing, but then Gog and Magog occurred to me. And as I was kind of trying to quickly find stuff on it, I'm not sure that fully works, but that's where I'm going. And so it's a matter of so now he's having to save his kids from these terrible influences. Like maybe one of them is getting sweet talked by a new Ilsa of the SS kind of thing. And some new clockwork Nazi has shown up. I'm thinking the head in a jar Nazi. Bring him in, because I don't think he was
from the comics?
Brought up or killed in the movies.
Okay.
Yeah, he's in the comics.
Okay, so so there's officially like would be Hellboy 3 coming off of Hellboy 2. We could open with the prophecy recited by some voice that speaks of the end times and Gog and Magog, the twin warriors, right?
Yeah.
Who will rise and lead the cataclysmic war between heaven and hell.
Yeah.
And the prophecy can hint that it is not mere myth and that they are tied to an ancient bloodline, right? So then Hellboy is retired, quiet life in the countryside, raising his sons.
So it's anything but quiet.
Yeah. But even though they're like 12 or 16.
No, they're 16.
They're 16, okay.
Right? If we're at 2008
oh, right.
to
Okay.
2024.
Sure.
That's 16 years old.
So they already have like, they've got the they've inherited the supernatural, like the strength, the agility,
and it can even be where one of them looks like a human and the other has more devil features, and that's another thing they fight about.
Then they could be like complete opposites. One could be like quiet and contemplative, and the other one could be like reckless, like all down for the excitement.
Yeah.
Okay. But they're like closely bonded, like they're twins, like they're siblings, they love each other.
There's a close bond, but they don't seem to love each other.
Okay, so how about there's like a new Nazi cult that's dedicated to the prophecy, and now they have their two figures that they can use to enact the prophecy. So they've been searching for, like, there's much like the myth of Hellboy himself. Now there's whispers that the twins of hell exist. Yeah, and they could the cult could.
And there's a new way to enact the prophecy. There's a new way to get even to Hellboy. I looked up Anung Unrama.
There is his real name. And this cult believes that these two are destined to bring about the final war between heaven and hell.
Yes.
Okay. So then
our three characters need to come to reconcile with the BPRD to enlist their help in fighting this new secret Nazi army that is manipulating his family.
Do they take the kids, or the kids run away? Like, do you?
I imagine. So in my mind, maybe I'm not knowing Gog and Magog enough, but I thought it's that they're twins and they fight.
Yeah. They fight each other.
Yeah? No? They fight together?
We've gone past my knowledge of Gog and Magog.
Okay.
How about this? The cult attacks the home, and Hellboy just believes they're there for me. So run, get out of here. No, I know you can fight. I can fight, Dad. No, they're here for me. This is what this is about. Run into the woods or whatever. And as soon as they run off, we stick with them, and the attack follows them. So half the people stay back and fight Hellboy, but the real mission was to grab these two.
That reveals it all
Okay.
too soon
Okay.
to me.
Okay.
And I want to have family conflict in this. If we're gonna follow the story Del Toro set up, I feel like that falls more in line with the
So
the stories, right? The first movie is relationship problems. The second movie is relationship problems, and the third movie will be
relationship
problems. Yeah.
So does the cult get their hands on the kids, or do the kids like what's?
And I'm thinking one of them, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And right, that with the promise of power and respect and all that stuff. He's like, yeah, totally.
Yeah, they like bring them before the cult, like even like the high priest of the cult, and like explains the dark ritual and destiny that can be fulfilled, and they
and right, and like Kylo Ren, that sounds real good to Magog.
Yeah. So like the quieter twin could be horrified by it, but the one who's already proven to be excited by the possibilities is like, hell yes. And so then the bond between them can get fractured. So then they will have to fight each other. And maybe like let's in trying to seek them out. So we have the B plot of the kids getting convinced, like, no, let's do this. And we have Hellboy mad at the BPRD and like trying to if the quiet twin gets away. Dad, you don't even understand what's happening there. I'm sorry, this all happened.
Okay, yes.
Were you thinking only one of them gets taken?
Only, yeah.
Okay,
I'm thinking they go in different directions. They are not together.
Got it.
They do not like each other. They can't stand each other.
Yeah.
They are always fighting.
Okay.
And then Hellboy's like, stop fighting. Like, I hate you, Dad. I'm
No,
running away.
Running away, and now I'm getting you do.
And Hellboy's like, fine, do it. Be just like your mother. And then, right, like,
that does not pay respect to Selma Blair.
Well, but it's something Hellboy would say in the moment.
In the heat of the moment, yeah.
And regret it almost immediately.
You're the devil. No, I'm not. I'm the son of the devil. Maybe
what's that make you?
A son of a bastard. Maybe when the cult finally convinces the one twin to go for it, as it's like finally happening, there's like regret, like, oh shit, I've made a mistake here. But it's too late. My power is gonna.
Even there, I feel like they would be on board.
Yeah.
And I would actually want it to be in the third act, in the climax, where the armies are now clashing. That Hellboy's like, don't do this. Don't be a Nazi.
Yeah. Put that tiki torch down now.
Kind of. Could
the cult be trying to use the twin as a vessel for Magog? So then it like making them a willing host, and then Magog possesses it, because then Hellboy has to decide, I have to beat the shit out of my son because my son is now the vessel for Magog. And like my son's no longer in control. It's just the vessel that I have to destroy. And like Magog's influences has like turned him into this monstrous force of destruction and like laying waste to the fortress wherever this cult is.
I think I see what you don't want to have a scene where Hellboy beats the shit out of his own kid.
Right. So I'm just trying to contrive a reason where it's this dilemma of like, I don't want to do this. And then maybe the one son is like, well, I'll do it. Or it's like, you're not, you have to do it. You have to do it. That's not my brother anymore. That's not your son anymore. That is Magog. That is the bringer of this. And then the right hand of doom gets to work. And then it's just a battle between Magog and Hellboy, claiming this battle will inevitably,
What would bring peace between brothers?
A hug.
A hug.
Just a hug.
That's all.
That's it. I don't care. I don't care. I'm not letting go of you. I love you, brother, and I'm never I'll die with you if I have to. Love. I love you.
Love overcomes Nazis.
Well, I mean, every time.
It's every time.
Um.
Hug a Nazi
Oh,
today?
wait.
No.
Wait. Here's a thought. If the other twin
You keep saying cult. You keep, which is understandable.
The other twin, the transcript of this, like they keep saying Nancy. The other twin, like Hellboy gets beat, like tries to fight and loses. So then the other twin makes this heartbreaking choice to allow Gog to partially possess him, giving him the power he needs to restrain Magog. And with the new strength, the twins are at just enough in loggerheads that Hellboy has a chance to.
I just don't like the possession part.
Okay,
I think the idea that they are prophesied. I'm trying to say sins of the father kind of thing,
okay.
and it's the same thing. They are the same way their father is destined to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So are they, and will they make the same choice as their father to turn away from that destiny? And I was kind of wanting one to be enticed by it.
Okay.
And the other, because he's fighting with him, it takes a while, but eventually realizes what needs to be done. Hug his brother. Say fine, you can borrow my stuff.
My alt to that, my pitch on that of why I like the possession angle of it is that if the other twin allows Gog to come into him, and then it's Magog versus Gog, and that gives Hellboy the opening to basically right hand of doom punch Magog out of his son, and then the other son make the quieter one makes the self-sacrifice to let Magog and Gog go into them, and then disappear from to die, like sacrifice themselves and die with those two spirits within them.
That's sad.
I'm giving you that. So then Hellboy is devastated, and the surviving son leave the wreckage freed from like the control, and then come to terms with the family returns home broken but united. That's just my pitch on why I like the possession angle of it, but I'm not going to die on that hill. The other son is.
Yeah, this was an alternate pitch anyway.
Well, I mean, it's fine. Well, let's back up. Pitch it. So you're saying that the reckless kid, I'm all for it, and then
whichever one, or maybe it's the quiet one. It's always the quiet one.
Always the quiet one.
The one that gives in, enthralled, enticed. Yep. What's the name of the kid in Lion the Witch in the Wardrobe?
Oh, freaking! Oh God, the bastard kid.
Yeah. Not Billy. It's never Billy.
Peter. Edmund. It's Edmund. Stupid Edmund. Turkish delights aren't that good.
Yeah. So the Edmund one is the one who is enticed.
Okay. Yeah.
And he starts leading an army. And the thing is, there's going to be plenty of things for Hellboy to punch, other than like his son will still be able to outpunch him.
Yeah.
Because these Nazis, cultists, mm-hmm. with the power of this character, he will be like, they teach him, they like, in just like by the way, since you got the power of the devil, you got other powers, mm-hmm. like opening portals.
That's exactly what these cultists would sound like, too.
It is.
Southern American.
South American.
Southern American idiots.
Yes. They basically teach, like, so then Hellspawn.
South Americans. Yeah.
Demons are going to be on this battlefield as well. Mm-hmm. So Hellboy is going to be able to punch some steampunk Nazis, mm-hmm. as well as some big old jerk demons.
Some monsters, yeah. Well, how do you wrap? What's the conclusion on this then? I don't know if you already said
everyone hugs,
yeah,
and they cry, and the Nazis have failed. They get their butts kicked,
yeah,
and the ones that don't die or get dragged back to hell, mm-hmm. or dragged to hell, run away and hide. Mm-hmm. And the BPRD is all like, "Welcome home."
Okay. Yeah. While Hellboy's at work,
Yeah.
does it come down to the one twin confronting the other one and talking him
I'm
down?
that. Yeah, I don't know if that's cliche.
No, whatever. I'm the one who suggested
Um,
he hugs him to being a
well,
good guy
that's
again.
being glib about it, but essentially that's what it is. I don't know if that's too Wonder Woman 1984.
There's still punching in ours, at least.
That is
as
true.
opposed to her just something I didn't do in the video. I should. Did I do it? I don't remember.
I don't remember.
I think I did where she's talking it. It's just like
Yes, you did. And then from his perspective, because there's all the wind, you can't
What?
hear anyway.
What are you saying?
Yeah.
I wish she would speak louder.
It's kind of okay because they wouldn't be talking to the world, just each other.
They're just talking to each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it comes down to that, it's sort of like the end of Chronicle, trying to talk the kid out of being a bad guy.
Yeah.
He ultimately dies.
Or now I never saw Chronicle.
Oh. I won't say who dies. Someone dies.
Do we have Liz show up here in a Deus Ex Machina kind of thing and say, "Now, boys, stop fighting"?
Yeah, I don't mind it. If we plant her
and do a family hug.
If we plant her at the beginning, she can come back. Mm-hmm. If she just comes back, imagine this is the first time you've seen a Hellboy movie, you're going to be confused. But if at the beginning, after we've talked about the origin of Gog and Magog, if Liz departs now to respect of Selma Blair, in this scenario, we'd find a way to utilize her Carrie Fisher style, face replacement, like allowing her to be a part of this movie without the disadvantage that she now faces.
In Phoenix form.
Yeah,
that'd be fine.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, flame on.
Yeah.
Having her at the very beginning leave and then come back. It's a little Deus Ex, but I'm for it, especially if Hellboy reaches out to her and somehow can't get to her. Like if we create a reason in the movie why she would come in last minute, it could even be like we could build a whole B plot here where Krauss is looking for her. Like she vanished for some reason, and maybe it seemed like she left, but it actually was part of the cult's plan. Like there was another part of this plan that kidnapped her or got her taken away.
Well, because they do need each son to lead an army and fight.
Mm-hmm.
So one they entice with Turkish delights.
Yes.
And the other they sort of I'm imagining, I don't know what kind of army. It wouldn't just be another Nazi cult army.
Mm-hmm.
And then they all fight. Like maybe just circumstances kind of work out to where that son shows up. It's like, it's okay, Dad. I'm going to try to do the right thing. And BPRD's like, yep, we're going to listen to this guy. And so he's the leader of that team. So now it's...
Oh, he's leading. Oh, I see. You want to fulfill the destiny of two armies being led.
Yeah.
I understand where you're going for now. Yeah. Why not? If in this throwdown, if the army of BPRD agents is limited to a couple dozen, that still counts. It's a very small army, but if Hellboy's like in the midst of punching the big threats,
mm-hmm.
and his son like, what can I do? Work with Abe and work with the BPRD. Do Abe's job.
Well,
Abe would normally talk about it.
It would be Krauss. It could be Krauss showing up with that son and reinforcements. Something like that.
You just want two armies.
Yeah.
I'm down with it. And then it just comes down to brothers communicating with each other until mom shows up and the whole family's reunited.
Maybe, yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. That's probably
what a way to pitch a script. Something like
that. That is probably more in line with what Del Toro would have done.
Yeah, and that was my pitch.
Yeah.
Like I left to my own devices, I'd probably pursue something more like what you did, which is kind of a soft reboot. It doesn't deny the earlier stuff,
right?
But they quit. They quit at the end of the second one. So what happened to that?
So let's just move mine and make that the fourth one.
Sure.
This is part 3, and then part 4 can be what I pitched.
Sure.
And then we have more characters we can insert into that version by having.
And then David Harbour's just gone.
Poor David Harbour. Like if we retroactively take my pitch and move that and make it the fourth movie, There's some little things that we can either decide to use or not use.
Mm-hmm.
We can decide to use the kids or not use the kids.
Yeah.
They might be men by then.
Sure. That's I was trying to utilize because they talked like they're going to have kids, they're going to have twins. It very well could be we do some other story where it starts with Liz saying, "I can't do this anymore." I'm taking them. I'm taking the kids, and we're going to go to my mom's. And then they leave the movie, and then we don't have to work. Then we can do the story of a man, having basically destroyed his family dynamic.
I don't like that.
Rather than having to deal with raising two sons that are a little too close to yourself.
I would rather for if we decide like this is the fourth movie, I'm throwing finger quotes up, if this frozen underworld story is part of that, then I would just find a way to not like, no, you're in college now, worry about school. Like, no, you don't get to BPRD. No, you don't get to BPRD. You can BPRD on the weekends, but like, just it's dad off to work.
Oh my God, that's a good Del Toro.
That way, we're not. That's so heartbreaking to be like Dial of Destiny. I rewatched Crystal Skull and Dial of Destiny recently, and watching all the Indiana Jones movies, and that fifth one is so miserably sad. Like, geez. Indy, God, man, it's not just that you're old anymore. Your son died. Your wife left you. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Poor dude. And so I don't want to do that to Hellboy. I think we can just find a way to say.
I know people didn't like Mutt, but you didn't have to. You didn't have to do that.
You didn't have to do that. Okay. There you go, folks. But how do you feel about that? Like, your pitch.
I feel real shaky.
You're real shaky. You were literally shaking.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's showing up on mic. I can see it in the wave.
Right, like because this is an IP that I want to do. I want it to do well. I want it to be big, and I want audiences to love it and to want 5 of them, and for an actor to commit themselves to it to the point that they ruin their own career.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the question is, would either of these two or both of these Hellboy movies create that? And it really just comes down to, does it hit at the right moment? There's so many factors that even with the greatest of movies, if audiences just don't care, if they're not ready for it. I think if Hellboy and Hellboy 2 came out 10 years after, I think they would have hit better. I mean, they hit well enough at the time. But I think moving them into the superhero, I'm going to call it glut now, which is capes and superpowers, and suddenly you have a paranormal blockbuster superhero movie, I think people would be like, okay, something different, cool.
Maybe. It, like literally just transplanting it up 10 years each. I don't know if that would work because their tone, as we said at the top, their tone is pretty much of their time.
Maybe with some tweaks.
Yeah,
I think. Maybe, but Crooked Man's gonna. I think EKAG here is right on the money because I keep mentioning it to people and go
by
really?
And starring no one.
No, this is the response I've gotten twice. Okay,
yeah.
There's another Hellboy movie coming up. Really? They made a third Hellboy?
Oof.
I'm like, oh no, this is the fourth one. They made a third one before. Wait, there's a third one already?
Oof.
Yeah. So, good luck, Crooked Man. We want Hellboy to work.
Yeah.
But I think I'll let you digest for a moment, but I'm going to wrap it up here.
Yeah.
So, Ray Gun Studios, EKG, how did we do? Did we meet your demand today? We gave you 2, so we did something.
We did something.
Hit us up. Agree, disagree, what did we miss? Whatever. And actually, anyone listening, what's your feelings about Hellboy? Do either of these entice you? Do you think both of them work? Let us know. You can message us directly at studiodemandsit.com or on Instagram at studiodemandsit. If you're not already, you can subscribe to us on your podcatcher of choice. And if you want, just saying, takes you 5 seconds, throw a 5-star review into the app, and that helps us get out there into the algorithm. You can find us on YouTube and TikTok, where we post video content, including material not heard here on the show. Jim, you've got some stuff to mention too.
We're at Studio Demands. Come be a part of the conversation on our Discord. You can get to the link from studiodemands.com. At the top of the page, there is a link to join the Discord. Also, you can find us on Reddit if that's your forum of choice. We are at r/Studio Demands It. Come and talk to us, because I'm lonely there.
And if you want even more, as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, we do have a Patreon for a couple bucks a month. You can get episodes early. You can get extended conversations and extended length episodes and movie commentary tracks. You can also just show us some love by subscribing for free. We do have free content that comes out, which is the Suddenly a Conversation. If you want to hear us literally walking out of movie theaters having watched movies. We've been doing that infrequently, but that is also up on Patreon for free if you'd like to listen to that. Massive thank you to 6'5 Media for everything they do for us. Please check out their other shows. And then Jim, unless you have anything else. He's thinking. He's running his fingers through his beard. That's how long his beard is. You good? Okay.
I'm good. Yeah.
All right. That's it for this episode. We will be back again soon with one of your demands to challenge ourselves with, and ideally, in some way or capacity, improve the world of cinema. I'm TC.
I'm Jim.
Come on, let the people know.
I'm thinking. I'm digesting this. I'm trying to. I want the comic book to come to life. That's all I want. Just do it. Just do it in the way that my brain says to make it happen.
It's not that hard, people. You know what it might come down to with Hellboy? We might not be I know I'm not the right person to do it.
I don't think I'm the right person.
You're not the right person to do it.
I wish I was.
Boy, a realization that would have been nice to have.
Well, we wouldn't have done the episode.
It's true. Well, I mean, that's why I avoided Back to the Future for 5 years, because I was like, I don't think I can do this. But I better do it before someone else does. I really to do this episode properly would be to not do this demand, not do the pay respects and have Del Toro's cast. I would start over. I'd start over with a new cast. Yeah. I would ideally make it an HBO TV show. I would make it Matt Reeves dark. And I would tell it as a show. I don't know if I made the point during the episode. The reason it should be so dark is because the things he's fighting are these dark, terrible stories. And then he shows up. But he doesn't show up in a way that suddenly he casts light on it. He shows up and he's all right. And it's all right, enough of you. And he punches it. Yeah. And that's why I likened him to Doctor Who as well, because Doctor Who kind of shows up and he doesn't punch it, but he solves the problem. Right. And that, yeah. So that's kind of what I would do with a show. And so it would have a lot more horror noir feel to it. But he wouldn't be cocksure like that. Like, cause that undoes any of the mood that you've done. But he can still kick in a door and be like, knock it off. Okay. and punch a monster, okay, right? Mr. Boy. Well, right, it's because it's knock it off, and then the monster's like, hi, this is my domain. I'm gonna eat you now. And then he's like, to hell you are, and then they punch each other. Yeah. And that's it for you. Right? That one of his weird non-taglines. There you go. But that's 5 minutes of describing what I just said would be like this seasons-long TV show. So that's not enough of a pitch. It's enough for all of us, Jim. Yeah. All right. Stay safe, everyone. Be kind to yourselves and others. Thank you. We'll next. Yep. Damn it. Episode.